How you doing? It's old Scrum back here, giving you a little review of the Cowboys-Steelers game. Some thoughts from the game that I saw as a fan. Great game. If you're a fan of football, this football game here was a well-fought game by both teams, especially late. I mean, they were just eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, knockdown, drag-out dogfight in this game. It was a great rivalry game, and it was deservedly America's game of the week. It really was. 7 lead changes. Big Ben doing his thing, airing out for 400 and plus yards, 3 touchdowns. Zeke Elliott monster game, over 200 yards from offensively from him. Dak Prescott, again a little bit of a struggle, a couple more struggling plays that he had here, just like a little bit like the Philly game where he had a quarter or so that maybe 2 quarters, obviously I think. That he just didn't play his best game, and that's obvious. It happens. Great quarterbacks, good quarterbacks, horrible quarterbacks. They all have games where it doesn't always come together you 100% for the game. But what talented teams and talented players excel at in the NFL is winning when it counts and playing and executing when it counts. That's why these guys make the money that they make. Zeke Elliott was clutch, especially in the fourth quarter. I mean, not just the touchdown run, but just his blocking. The block he made on Shazier coming through on the blitz was just phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal block for a rookie running back, to pick up that and make that block when he needed to. Dak Prescott, some rough play. I thought that the screen pass, great play to Zeke Elliott, ended up going 83 yards. Obviously, most of that was on Zeke and his running and the blocking that these guys did downfield. Butler made a great block down there for him. Terrence Williams made a phenomenal block on that run, too. Dak Prescott, the pass to Dez Bryant for 50 yards. You just don't see very many rookie quarterbacks making that play like that. He stayed in the pocket as long as he could. The pocket collapsed. He slid underneath the pressure, stepped up, and stepped into the throw for 50 yards. For all you guys that say, Dak can't throw the ball downfield, that was a pretty damn good 50-yard pass in my opinion. Great play, great throw. Dez with a phenomenal catch. On that note, Dez, condolences to you and your family, man. I hope you guys can lean on each other and get through this difficult time. I know that it is for you. Heck of a touchdown grab, and I know your dad was watching, and I saw you dedicated to him there, man. And you deserve that one. You really did. Played a great game for us today, Dez. And again, my condolences to you and your family. Moving on from that, penalties. Wow, it continues to plague the Cowboys, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, the referees were horrible, against the Cowboys. They were horrible against everybody, and both teams today. I think the Cowboys got away with a couple penalties. Obviously, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers got away with a couple penalties. But I also think that there was a lot of penalties that were called that I think, I don't think that Zach Martin holding penalty was a hold. I think he just blocked him well. But I'm not a referee. I'm not an official. I don't get paid to make those decisions. And the bottom line is that the officials are not the excuse you win or lose a game. You win or lose a game because you can't execute or you did execute. And that's just all there is to it, especially late in the game. Pittsburgh played their defense really stepped up against Zeke Elliott today in the offensive line until towards the end of the third quarter there, in the beginning of the fourth, when Zeke started running the ball again and they were doing these little quick passes, you could tell that defense was a little bit tired there towards the end, especially that last drive that ended up springing Zeke for 32 yards. They were pushing him. The offensive line was getting a push. The one bad play on that drive was when the play after Zeke made that great block on Shazier. Shazier came in the backfield and he read the play beautifully, and he had Zeke Elliott dead to rights in the backfield there. But it's not just one particular player on this Cowboys offense that can do it. They all can, and I think it was evident tonight the way they played together late in the game. Dak said, "I'm not worried about it. Come on, guys, get on my shoulders. Let's go. I got you." And feed Zeke the ball, and he will make change games for you for a long time. Beasley had a little bit of a substandard night. Come on, Bees. I didn't see any soft plays out there tonight, buddy. But I know you got it in you, and I got faith in you, Bees. But I think this is one of your substandard games for you, and I think if you you watch it, you'll know that you had a couple plays that just didn't work out for you, and but you're still a hell of a player for us. I still love you, but I just didn't see any soft plays out there, B. Sorry, man. And I watched an hour of you on a podcast, and I really got into the soft stories and you as a person. So keep up the hard work, Bees. But I know you can do better than that, and you know it too. Witten, I mean, he didn't have a lot of catches, but the catches that he had were clutch. And 14 years he's been doing it, so there's no surprise there that Jason Witten comes through when you need him to. Dak just the poise again. Again, we go back to the poise and composure this kid holds when he's down in a tough situation. I listen to some of these reporters and some of these videos on YouTube here saying that, I want to see how he does in adversity. Well, I think he's done that several times this season. The Philadelphia game, the Washington game, 14 points down to Frisco, this game. Every week I keep waiting to hear what Stephen A. Smith and some of these guys are going to say, well, wait till next week and wait till next week. Well, guess what? We're 10 games into the season, 10 weeks into the season. You guys are running out of weeks to say that. 8-1 is a, phenomenal start. We haven't done that in Dallas since '77. I was 2 years old when that last time that happened. And it's pretty obvious I'm a little bit older. Really excited about the team. Really excited in the direction that they're going. Defensively, I think tonight we faltered a little bit. We gave up, I think, too many yards. And for this defense, they're a little bit usually more ball hungry. I'm curious to see what happened with Scandrick. Obviously, he's a great corner for us, and we need him. I think Byron Jones is playing out of his mind this year. I think he's playing really well for a young player to play the way he's playing right now. It's a tough position to put that kid in too. I mean, I think he's a second. I can't remember if he's a rookie or a second-year guy, maybe even a third-year guy. But he's playing a hell of plays. I mean, the kid can ball, and I think some of the defenses and the offenses are starting to see that they're playing against. Antonio Brown, tough position to put this kid in. I mean, with Scandrick being down a lot early this season and he's out, most of the second half, I think, not the whole second half tonight. The kid held up pretty good. They picked on him. Obviously, he's a rookie. They're going to go after him. He's not the number one corner on the defense, so they're going to take shots at him downfield. And Brown, the receiver for Pittsburgh, Brown, he had a great game. He's got great moves. He executes really well on his routes. He's precise. Great hands. Big guy. Strong. Good for Yak after the catch. He's a solid player. He really is. I was a little disappointed with Le'Veon Bell tonight because I'm not a Pittsburgh guy. I'm a Cowboys fan. You can't, as a Cowboys fan, give credit if you don't have to Pittsburgh. But I'm going to tell you what, that Le'Veon Bell is good. He's better than what he played tonight, I think. I think Dallas defensively on the run, we really played a solid game. I think we gave up less than 50 yards rushing at the end of the game. So that's huge. We gave up a lot more passing, but, you're talking about Big Ben in Pittsburgh where they don't lose. And Ben went off. He threw for 408 yards or something like that and 3 touchdowns. Dak Prescott, 319 yards, 2 touchdowns, 22 out of 32, I believe it was. I think Ben was 37 out of 46 for 408. They matched up, I think, pretty well all the way down the list as far as stats go in this game between the Cowboys and the Steelers. I think time of possession was Dallas with 30 minutes and 24 or 26 seconds, and Pittsburgh had a time of possession of like 29 minutes and 46 seconds or something like that. Time of possession was there, the same. Pittsburgh, I think, had 12 drives. We had 11. Total plays, I think it was 66 for Pittsburgh and 59 for Dallas. So the game evenly matched, even in the numbers at the end of the game. There was one number, though, that stuck out to me, which I thought could have been a big factor in the decision how this game ended up. When on third down conversions tonight, Pittsburgh was 4 for 10, and that's not great. It's not terrible, but it's not getting it done either. On the other side of it, Dallas was 7 out of 13. A lot better numbers. I like being 7 for 13 on third down and 4 out of 10. And this offense stretches the field defensively. We have so many weapons. Dez Bryant, Jason Witten, Ezekiel Elliott, Cole Beasley, Terrence Williams, Butler. And the list goes on and on and on. I mean, you know, Alfred Morris comes in. We have so many potential threats on this offense that teams are having a hard time staying with them the whole game. You can have them for a quarter, 2 quarters. You see that's been obvious in at least two of the games that I've watched this year, the Pittsburgh and the Philly game. You can keep them close. You can keep them and stuff them for a quarter, 2 quarters. But when the end of the game comes around and that team is rolling and they're confident, I don't know, man. I don't see too many teams in the NFL stopping them. Again, I'm not saying Super Bowl bound. I'm not going to be that guy. I don't know. I love the way we're headed. I really do. I think that we definitely have a playoff run ahead of us, barring any kind of, you know, unforeseen tragedy or injury or something to this team, which, knock on wood, it can happen in Dallas. I mean, look what happened last year with us with Romo. So, this team is, I think they've turned a quarter in their rebuilding process and the evolution of where this team is now as to where they were 5 years ago. And I'm really excited to watch this team each week. And I think today was the first game that I watched this season, and I've watched just about all of them. I think I've only missed the opening game, and I was sick, so I was, under the weather for that game. I was in the doctor's. But it was the first game that, I was a little nervous in the second half, but you know what? There was this calming moment that came over me. I'm like, you know what? Dak has come through time and time again this season in these situations, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw my blind support and faith into this kid. And when it was all said and done, the kid proved me right again. I mean, you got to have faith in this team, and they have faith in each other, and I think that's the biggest thing for this team right now is having faith in each other. Not just, Zeke and Dak having faith for each other or the offensive line. The whole team, defensively, just, again, we didn't play a great game defensively today, but we did a bend, don't break, which is kind of our forte in the NFL. Been that way for quite a few years now. But they really, really held up when they had to. And just like the offense, when the game's on the line, and we need you to do something, they did it. And it's awesome to watch. It really is. Again, it's frustrating to watch 2 quarters where your team's just like, oh man, blah, 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 the penalties and the bad throws by Dak. He had, I think, 3 or 4 passes that I saw tonight were just horrible passes on his part. And but those 3 or 4 plays, they don't take up for what he did to carry this team today and help carry this team. Not just him alone. He was a major part of this team, obviously, and he's the king of the comeback for us right now this season. But he, to be honest with you, with the comeback wins, he reminds me of Romo. You can't ever count him out. And I think this, because I said his name, I'll go into it. I don't pull Dak Prescott out of the game until he has 2 games where he's just back-to-back horrible. You don't touch this kid. Leave him alone. I think Tony Romo doesn't. Yeah, he's a competitor and he wants to be the starting quarterback, of course. But where this team is going right now, and for Tony to get extra time to heal up, and I've seen no indication on the sidelines or during the week with all these videos and stuff of him and Dak having this animosity towards each other, which I don't see there. I see Tony supporting this youngster. I see Tony helping to coach this youngster. And P.S. on a side note, Tony Romo with a headset on, that could be his future. I mean, he could be a good coach. He knows how to win in the NFL. I think they throw his numbers up tonight. I think he's like 78-49 when Romo is at the quarterback position. I mean, that's pretty good numbers for a guy that everybody thinks is a bum. For those of you who think that Tony Romo's a bum, I challenge you to go back and look at his career numbers and look at where he's at. And obviously, it don't mean anything unless you got a ring, and I'm a firm believer in that. But he's not a bum, and I don't think that there's a big problem with us quarterback-wise. I really don't. I don't think Jerry Jones messes with this, and I don't think Tony Romo would want him to mess with it. If it was him on the other side, flip side, like when Bledsoe got hurt, when Bledsoe comes back, Tony kept his job. And I think Tony understands that, especially at his age and the injuries. But if for some godforsaken accident happens, we still have Tony Romo for our backup, and I'm comfortable with that. And I hear a lot of fans that aren't Cowboys fans, oh, yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable with Tony Romo. I mean, the last full season he played, he was 12-4 and an MVP candidate. Just, that's pretty strong numbers at 34 years old at the time when it happened. 33, 34, however old he was. I think he was 33 or 34. But that's saying something. I mean, that's a big company. You're talking about in a company with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning at the time. These are big-time quarterbacks in the NFL, and Tony Romo, numbers-wise and career-wise, is right there with a lot of these guys. So that being said, again, you don't mess with Dak. You don't take him out. If he gets hurt, obviously there's a problem. If he loses 2 games in a row and it's uncharacteristic games like by him, yeah, then I think you throw Tony in there. Maybe not to completely be the starter, but at least to light a fire under Dak if he has those bad games, which I don't see. He's a very, very, very poised quarterback. And I've gotten a lot of hate, emails and text messages and Facebook. I grew up in the Philly area as a Cowboys fan, so I got a lot of family and I guess they're friends blowing my phone up, blowing up my Facebook, our Facebook Messenger, and blowing on my email, sending me all these factoids, and this is what Stephen A. Smith says, and he blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something, guys. I grew up there, and in my opinion, there's nothing worse than an Eagles fan that doesn't understand football. And when I say that, I don't say all Eagles fans. There's a video blogger out there, this woman, Delia. Delilah, I'm sorry if I'm getting your name wrong. I'm sorry, hon. You do a great job. You're unbiased, which I appreciate. And you're critical of your team, and you're when they're bad, and you're praise your team when they're good, and that's all you can ask for as a fan. And you stick with your team. I've seen a lot of videos on here of just complete and utter hate for their team. But here we are. Let's see, was it 2 games now? It's been since we played Philadelphia. I'm still getting crap from the Eagles fans. Still getting crap. Talking about how the refs had it in for Philadelphia. Well, I got the numbers on that, and 5 for 40 penalties in that Philadelphia-Dallas game for Philadelphia. 11 for 84 for Dallas. Tonight, 10 penalties, 98 yards for Dallas. Tell me again how the officials are helping the Cowboys. I'm just saying. I mean, you cry and cry and cry, and you want to cry about the head coach. He's a rookie too. I'd love to see what. There's these 2 guys that I see on here all the time, bitter birds, and this is who I'm directing it at. You guys can sit there on the couch and dissect every play and get all these little facts from your fantasy leagues and all that other crap. But the bottom line is, if you were a coach, you wouldn't be sitting on your couch crying about your team. Okay? Doug Peterson's decision to go for the punt instead of the field goal, that could have gone either way, guys. And the way Dallas was moving the ball at that point, yeah, I definitely think you consider that punt. And if you played sports and you played football or you watched football enough, that was a smart call because their offense was faltering at that point, and Dallas was moving the ball. And despite all of it, 90 yards to tie the game for Dak Prescott. Okay, 90-yard drive to tie the football game. 75-yard drive to go in and win it in overtime. For all you people, especially you 2, you bitter birds, Dak needs to prove himself. He's got nothing to prove, in my opinion. He's done it. And I hear these guys crying, well, if Carson Wentz had that offense. Well, he doesn't. And that's not Dallas's fault or Cowboys fans' fault because we spent time drafting linemen for the last 5 years, and it paid off. You've got receivers that can't hold the ball to save their life. You can sit there and cry about Doug Peterson all you want, but 2 of those drops were third down drops that were momentum killers. And you guys are, this fucking team, fuck this team, fucking small. Every year it's the same thing with Eagles fans. Most of them. I mean, the real diehard Homer fans they're ignorant Eagles fans, and anybody who's not an Eagles fan in the NFL knows what I'm talking about. Skins fans know what I'm talking about. Giants fans know what I'm talking about. Pittsburgh fans know what I'm talking about. Eagles fans are the world-class leading disgusting fans. They flip cars over in parking lots and light them on fire when they lose. I mean, they throw snowballs at Santa Claus. The Bounty Bowl with Luis Zendejas and Buddy Ryan. I mean, Brian Baldinger this week, former Eagle, talking about how he put a bounty on a guy to hurt him, to intentionally hurt a guy. So that just shows you the class of some of these Eagles fans that have, and I understand you're starved for a championship in Philadelphia for football. I get it. Since 1960, you haven't done anything. And I can understand your hatred toward the Cowboys and the Giants and the Washington Redskins because we win them when we get a chance to play them. Not everyone. But when we get an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl and win, we don't use poor clock time management. We don't have the slowest quarterback in the history of NFL in Jaworski against the Oakland Raiders. Listen, for all you Eagles fans that want to keep talking trash 3 weeks after the game's over, crying about how you woulda, shoulda, that should have been our game, we could have won that game, woulda, shoulda, coulda, don't amount to a hell of beans in the NFL. What matters in the NFL is what you do on the field week in and week out. Every week you either win or you go home. Well, guess what? Dallas is winning right now. And the Eagles, yeah, they won today against the Atlanta Falcons. Great job, guys. Good win. Big team to beat. You're not the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm tired of hearing it. It's weeks after the game. You guys are still running your mouths about this, still getting emails and text messages and blah, 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 blah. The greatest thing for me as a Cowboys fan is listening to Merrill Reese and Sal Palantonio make up excuses for why the Eagles lost, or what it was this time. It was the officials, or Doug Peterson being too conservative, or the receivers dropping the ball. Guys, when you're having a rough year, you're having a rough year. Get over it. You're rebuilding. You have potential, bright future if you play it right. And it takes time to build that team. You're just mad because Dallas is a little bit further ahead of you in that rebuilding schedule on their level. It's the bottom line here. We're 8-1. You're 5-4. You talked a bunch of trash going into that game. How the Cowboys haven't played anybody until you played Philly. We played you and beat you. And I hear this. Well, you got to beat Pittsburgh. We did. Going into the Cincinnati game, everybody says you ain't gonna stop that Cincinnati offense. Really, we crushed that offense. We've had a couple, I'd say, easier games in Chicago and Cleveland right now. The Frisco game, Dak under pressure again, 14 points down. Overcomes it, wins. Washington comes from behind again and wins. Yeah. All I'm going to say to the Eagles fans out there, cry, Eagles, cry. How about them Cowboys?